forward to actually implement this cloud based security solutions. So many of you would have heard these terms, hacking, cyber attack, uh, targeting through internet, and networks being hacked, and a lot of criminal activities being done, a lot of cyber crimes that are being done on the internet, right? So if we really look at it, what are these terms? Why do we keep hearing all these hacking related stuff on the internet, and why do we face a lot of cyber attacks? What are the motives behind it, right? If you really look at it, there are multiple reasons for it. First of all, let's go through each one of them. What is cyber security? Cyber security is something, we can actually term it as it is a security of cyberspace. Whatever cyberspace that we are utilizing to access the information through information systems and through networks, through computers, whatever we use for accessing the information on a daily basis, right? So that is called cyber security, to be precise. So we actually access a lot of information through a lot of infrastructure that is connected to um, cyber systems. You can are you able to see the screen? Are you able to view my slides?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Thanks for the feedback. See, there are a lot of devices, be it network devices, switches, routers, firewalls, even servers, computers, or even mobile devices, the workstations or desktops, whatever we use, whatever is connected to internet, and that we actually access it on a daily basis, be it work related, or be it for any data processing. All these devices are completely prone to cyber attacks, right? So right now, if we really look at it, we are actually constantly living in a digital world, where there is no other choice. We are completely living in a digital world, right? So world has transformed so much. Information is out there. We constantly access information through internet, but the question is, are we really accessing it safely, right? If we really look at it, we don't know whether whatever information that we are accessing it, um, are we safe and secure. Is somebody is actually trying to steal any other information? And none of us could actually predict what is happening in the background, right? So let us say if you are trying to access some website on the internet, on your mobile phone or on your desktop, somebody is out there. He's always trying to catch what is the information that you are accessing, and if there is any benefit for them through that, they always try to get any passwords, or they always try to steal any information which might really help them a lot, right? So what are the actually things that are connected to cyber security operations? See, cyber security is always connected to four terms, which is confidentiality. That means only legitimate users should have authorized access of to information, and integrity, right? So only users who can actually modify a certain information, only who has the right access to it, only they are supposed to access the information, and they are supposed to modify. Let us say in any company, there are people who are actually trying to do some actions. uh, let us assume that there is a critical database and somebody logged into the database and they are making some changes who are actually completely internal to that particular company. Let us say if they have done some changes, all the changes are completely accountable for them, and if something gets changed, only those authorized people who have access to it, they would have changed something, right? So that is called accountability. I mean, we make somebody accountable if something goes wrong, and if they have all the Yeah, accountability, and we have something called availability. Only authorized users should not be maliciously. Only authorized users should have access to it. Let us say if somebody is from outside and he's trying to access or steal some information, basically our system should be designed in such a way that any outsider cannot have access to that particular data. Let us say if we are actually sitting at home and we are accessing some data on our computer, and somebody who is from outside, they should not have access to our computer. So these are the four things that are connected to basic cyber security information system. All these things are connected to this four aspects. See, we keep hearing cyber security means people always think that we have people are aware who is using computer and mobile phone. They are aware that virus attack may happen and all the data will get lost, and people are aware whether somebody is into computer science or somebody working in IT. Non-IT people also are aware computers could get infected by virus, and there are hackers uh, who try to get a lot of information through that. And there are some people who try to they act as identity thieves outside, right? So these are the basic things which long back people think that this is where cyber security is needed, to have a protection against virus, hackers, right, spyware. But this is not all. I mean, after that there are a lot of things which have changed, and security has evolved so much, and things have took a lot of transformation. All right. See, what are the consequences if somebody is not actually meeting any if somebody is not actually taking care of any cyber security defense, or if they are not taking care of their information systems, what will happen? See, we all are coming from a background where cyber security is needed only to have a protection against virus, or some sort of hacking, or just to make sure that system is not getting crashed. But that is not all. As we discussed, it has taken a lot of transformation, and there are a lot of consequences. If somebody is not meeting to some cyber security standards, first of all they could lose the access to the computing system, overall network. What happens is, the hackers, once they gain access to the network, they completely disrupt the access to our insider. Let us say if you are accessing the complete network, basically they will make sure that you will not have access to that complete system. So first of all they lock everything, so that they command everything from their own, right? And the moment they gain access to critical systems and critical network, lot of confidential information, files, database, whatever information that is stored on our critical systems will get lost. What they would do is, they would actually dump all the data uh, from our systems to their systems, and they would actually wipe out the complete data. It would actually happen within the network. This attack may happen from quite long time. Maybe none of them are not aware, right? And what will happen? Let us say there is a hack happen and we lost the data. But after that the companies have to face a lot of consequences, because companies have to maintain some standards. They have to go through some lawsuits. And let us say if there is a bank, if the bank gets hacked, if after that nobody will go into that bank and then deposit the money, because everybody is worried that what if we deposit some money in that account, in that bank, what if our data gets lost? What if our account number and critical pin details are revealed to hackers? It will be big issue, right? So that is where companies are really worried about all these lawsuits and public trust. If any company is a big corporate company, they will lose their reputation. Their share market will come down, right? as well any employee who is actually responsible for managing this complete cyber security of that complete organization, they may lose their job because it means that they did not do their job properly, right? So these are the consequences. Just to make sure, this is where cyber security has evolved so much, and it has become a necessity now. See, long back, initial days, these hackings were mainly used to attack some, industrial systems, and it started as a military, attacks and all that. So that I'll give you, an old story. If you really, go through this slide, uranium is mainly, used for a nuclear power, and then, for making, nuclear bombs and all that. But long back, what happened is, a lot of countries who are actually, looking for this uranium centrifuges and nuclear, power stations, they started attacking so that they could actually, gain access to that nuclear power as well. They could actually get some information to make nuclear bombs. Because let us say, if a country like, US or Iran or any country, if they have good technology and infrastructure, and if they have, a lot of information on how to actually, make all these nuclear bombs. So there are some countries like, maybe China or Russia, they always, did a lot of attacks, just to, get some information about it, what other countries are doing. So long back, it all started like that. So they used to, attack on industrial systems. But after that, it has changed a lot. Long back, if you really look at it, there is a very, high powerful virus called, Stuxnet. It is, really old, famous one. Long back in 2010, there was a kind of, virus that was released into uh, into uranium centrifuges. So there was a company in Iran, and they used to, actually manufacture these uranium material for nuclear power and all that. So they use a lot of, Siemens based equipments, which are actually, you can call it as PLC systems that they use within the factory, just to make sure, things are going fine or not, to control the, power turbines and all that. But somehow this virus has entered through somebody have injected into that factory, just to make sure, they get a lot of information about that. What they have done is, through that virus, they actually, raise the temperature of the uranium, centrifuges. At one point of time, what happened is the temperature of the, systems, tanks, started growing so much, and at one point of time, they exploded. So this is how, these targeted attacks can happen. Yeah. So and not only, industrial systems, be it any target is, let us say, let's go back to another example where there is a American retailer. Let us say, whatever, we have Big Bazaar and all that here. So like that, in US also, they have a retailer named Target. It's a company. So they sell, a lot of groceries and stuff like that. And many, retail chains, data was hacked. And they have hackers have stolen data of more than 40 million customers, their critical credit card data, their, debit cards data, and all that. So they have done this attack for quite long time, and they actually compromised more than 110 million accounts, bank accounts, right? So they actually, theft a lot of money. They have actually transferred a lot of money also. So all these things are, very critical. So because of that, American banks had to replace more than 17 million debit and credit cards. it really costed so much money for the banks. So it was a figure. I think some bank had to spend more than $172 million just to replace the credit cards, the whatever plastic cards that we use it, just to replace the cards of all the customers that they have. It costed a lot of money for it. Okay, so that is how, I mean, these targets, whatever attacks that happened, it could actually translate into a big loss for the companies. In fact, let us look into how this particular attack happened on Target retailer company. All right, so am I going a bit fast, or do you want me to go a bit slow? Yeah, so I'm sure all of you are able to follow. Let us really look into it. How did this attack happen on Target? See, somebody who is actually working in the company, through air conditioning system, they have actually gained access to one of the computer, and that is how one of the employee, without their awareness, they have clicked on some link, and that spyware has got triggered within the company, and it started actually capturing all the information that is running on the Target servers or systems. All right, so how it happened is, one of the employee have received some email from outside, saying that this email, it has some offer or something like that. The moment somebody clicked on it, it actually created a lot of trouble for the entire company, and nobody knows how it happened, and what could be the reason, and how it got this virus or this kind of attack came into the picture, because somebody would have clicked on some random link that has come in an email, and that actually created some attack. All right, so this is how it will happen. What we need to do is, we need to let us say, if we really want to take care of ourselves against these cyber security attacks, first of all, what do we need to do? We need to know our enemies very well. So enemies in the sense, I mean, we directly do not have any enmity with them, but they could be somewhere, and they are actually trying to target us for their benefits. We really need to know what are the kind of attacks that are happening. All right, so the most common enemies are, so who are these people? Why do they actually try to steal some information? What is the motive behind it? What kind of people, and why they do it? Let's say we can call that all these hackers who are actually a kind of cyber criminals. They actually carry out multiple cyber attacks for personal financial gains. So they want to make a lot of money in very short time. And there are people who act as spies outside, and they actually gain some critical organization data. Let us say national government websites getting hacked, and they try to get some Aadhaar data, and then they actually gain some information, and they wanted to see who are the people. They have some specific targets based on their motive, right? And there are some cyber attacks also which happen from other countries. So basically, when we work within IBM, I actually take care of a lot of financial institutions and industries and automotive companies that we actually observe on a daily basis. So basically, we get a lot of attacks from Russia, China, and sometimes Philippines, and sometimes from Pakistan. These kind of attacks would continuously happen, right? So there are some insider attackers also. There are some people, they actually try to be very honest within within the company, but they help somebody outside. They actually leak the critical information or the critical data, be it IP address of the server or something. So we should be really careful, because we really don't know how the attacks can happen. What do we need to do? Let us say, there we so far we learned and realized that there are attacks happening from outside, and we really don't know who are the people, and how do we ensure that, make sure these attacks may not happen, and these attacks, even if the attacks happen, we are safe. How do we do that? This is all connected to cyber security. Let us say, let us consider, how do they actually, start something like this, the basic kind of attacks that will happen. So most of you would have, received some spam emails, saying that, this is from a trusted bank, this is from RBI, and they give us, some sort of links like this, and without our knowledge, we may click on that link. Actual link may be, just like that, but the moment when we click on that link, it will redirect us to some different website that would exactly look like our bank website, or maybe, it may look like our, whatever, ePay or Google Pay, or anything like that. So they actually, create a duplicate website resembling the exact name of the website. So the moment, the look and feel of the website, resembles exactly same as the original one, we think that it is a, genuine website, and the moment we actually access the website, we do the transaction. But that is not a legitimate website. How do we come to know that, that is a legitimate website? So make sure whenever you are clicking on any link like this, there is a hyperlink, right, in the blue color. You just need to, point your mouse, or, pointer there. The moment you actually, click on, before you click on that, the actual, complete URL link would actually, come in the will show up there, right? So if you really look at it, it says myemail.com, and the actual link is something different. So that is how you can actually, spot any kind of, phishing attacks. These are very normal. Basically, Nigerians, they are, like, masters in doing these spam attacks. We get, a lot of spam attacks basically from Nigeria, and, some people in Africa. I mean, they actually, send a lot of it. So what if, let us say, these are the people, they send thousands of mails to, multiple people, whether they know somebody or they don't know. At least, one or two people would actually, respond to mails like this, and that is their, way of making money, right? So how do we ensure, I mean, these hackings will not happen? See, if you really look at it, security is a vast subject, and it is a ocean, I can say. And out of that, cryptography is something, one such a topic which has, a lot of cryptography is nothing but, securing the data, and then encrypting it, and then decrypting it. All the information systems that we do, whatever, ATM transactions that we are doing, or online banking that we use, be it any, secure website that will use this cryptography, right? If some website, or if the information is not encrypted using this, cryptography technology or cryptographic techniques, most of the, web applications, or be it mobile applications, there are, a lot of chances that we could lose a lot of critical data. So that is why, mostly, if you really look at it, all these, banking payment gateways, they are always, encrypted. You would see that HTTPS coming into picture, right? So what are the, different cryptographic techniques? We have AES standard, DES standard. So this AES standard is something like advanced encryption standard, that it has been, evolved right now. If you really look at it, 256, bit is a, strong encryption algorithm. So we have different algorithms, but AES is something, most popular. So far we heard that, there is cyber security requirement, and we need to use cryptography. And we also have gone through that, what are the common systems that could get hacked? How do we prevent it? What are the, different layers of information systems? So we discussed there are information systems which are, a lot of firewalls, or computers, or servers, different systems. So how can we make sure that these systems are protected, and how do we actually secure these systems? What are the different ways of doing it? So first of all, if you go through this slide, and there is something called identity and access management. It precisely talks about securing our passwords and safely accessing the information. And from cybersecurity side, what we would do is, any cybersecurity professional, they would design some process, they would design some architect, and they stick to the plan, and they make sure that all these layers are secure. Let us say we use mobile applications. So how do we ensure the security of that mobile application? So we have something called application security. We make sure that this application is completely secure and there are no bugs on it, and all the critical ports are ports are actually closed, and there is no way hackers can gain access to it. Let us say if you really look into some of the banking websites, social media websites, and social media applications, these are all completely secure. Why? Because they ensure that these applications are designed in such a way that they are completely secure. And we have something called data loss prevention. How do we ensure that the critical data is getting lost? Not, it is not getting lost. That means nobody is actually stealing the information. Data loss can happen if, let us say, if somebody who is working in the organization, they could have actually copied some data onto their pen drive or a flash drive, right? They could simply copy some data and then give it to outsiders. So that is how data loss can also happen. And data loss can also happen through network. Somebody would have gained access to the entire network, and they are trying to copy that, dump that entire data to somewhere, to a remote server. That is how data loss can happen. So how do we prevent it? There are different tools, like we have data loss prevention applications, antivirus softwares that we actually set up in our computers or laptops or even on servers, and we make sure that the critical data is not getting lost. And there is something called web security. Web security is something that deals with firewalls and proxy systems. Let us say any kind of attack that is coming from outside, what these firewalls would do is actually they filter the data. And we have something called email security. We have discussed, there are people outside, they send a lot of spam mails, unnecessary links. So how do we ensure the link is good? If any mail is having any suspicious data, that email will be actually transferred to spam folder, or that email gets deleted before you take some action on it. So this is how all the information systems or servers or laptops, these are designed in a secure way of accessing information. Actually, a lot of companies, big organizations, they ensure that we actually follow all these standards, so that attacks, we can actually minimize the risk of getting hacked. All right. So we also do some security assessments. Any security professional, one of their main job is set and design some process, and we make sure that that process, we are thoroughly following it. And if there is any change that is needed, we will do it. And we again reassess ourselves just to make sure we are following everything in the proper fashion or not. All right. So we do get most of the big organizations, they would have to face a lot of audits, at least twice a year. All right. So there is something called intrusion management. So we discussed that a lot of intrusions, attacks, that could come from outside. How do we make sure that this is a attack that is coming from outside, or this is a safe traffic that is coming from outside? So that is where intrusion management will comes into picture. And we have something called security information and event management. So we have certain tools that deploy within the big organization's network, and we make sure that we design some rules and we implement some policies just to make sure that the entire information is properly monitored. We make sure that every event, whether something is good or bad, we set up some rules and we filter the entire traffic. All right. So, and there is something called encryption. What is this encryption is something. So whenever we are sending any information, let us say you are sending some uh, critical some word file or PowerPoint, you can actually set a password for it. So if you send it online, if you the moment somebody is receiving it, you can send the password separately. Let us say if somebody has actually gained access to this file also, they will not be able to open it unless they have a password for it. So that is how encryption systems are designed. Right. Let us say if somebody has access to a mail file, unless they have the password for that email, they will not be able to view or change anything on that. So this is where encryption systems will come into picture. And a lot of organizations, they make sure that business continuity, and they make sure that they have disaster recovery centers. So let us say if somebody if a company like Infosys is there, and they always make sure that their company is also there in Mumbai as well in in Bangalore. Why? Because if something goes wrong with the infrastructure in Bangalore, they could actually use their other data center which is running in Mumbai. So that is how companies will also always make sure that their businesses is always up and running, and it works somewhere, even if if something goes wrong. If there is any attack, or in case of any tsunami attack, or if something happened, any natural calamity happens, if there is an earthquake, I mean, we should not lose that information, right? What we would do is we actually prepare a duplicate of the same data center. Whatever information that we are accessing, instead of storing everything in one server, we actually store it in 10 different servers which are actually stored in different areas. Let us say if some one server gets crashed, or if one server is actually we lost access to it, immediately we can turn it off, and then we can actually switch it off, and we can start working on the other server. Right. That is how we actually manage different organizations, to make sure that even if something goes wrong, we can make sure that there is a plan B available. Right. So we so far we discussed on different layers of information system. But the major point is, there is something called the main endpoint device. Let us say the laptop or the desktop or mobile phone that we use, that is more critical, because that is the first device where we are actually accessing the critical information. All right. So that has to be secure. And at the same time, that is where antivirus, data loss prevention, all these applications will come into picture for endpoint security. And there is something called network security. So we have some firewall devices, we have critical network switches, routers. So attacks can also happen there, right? So how do we ensure that the critical network is properly, the data is properly filtered, and the entire network systems are completely secure? Okay. So these are some of the layers that we discussed so far. So what are these common types of attacks that we get on a daily basis? See, attacks can happen in different manners, and there are different categories as such. If you really look at it, on this side, there's a blue color one, which is called malware. I think nearly 17 to 20% of it would come from virus attacks or any kind of malware attacks. DDoS attacks. What do we mean by DDoS attack? Somebody would continuously send a lot of ping requests and make sure that we are not having access to that server. Instead of we access to that server, they gain access to that server. SQL injection, SQL, SQL I, right? So these attacks, specifically happen on critical database systems. They continuously attack on the database, so that they gain access to the database, and they completely encrypt the database, and they use the data. If you really look at it, more than 40% of attacks we cannot even predict. It can happen in any fashion. All right. So these are some of the most common attacks that happen on a daily basis. These are some things which we can predict. But how do we ensure these attacks will not happen? And even if the attack is happening, our data is safe. So cyber security is something like defense mechanism. All right. So let us say there is a building, there is a big building, and it has some 12 different doors to it. So we make sure that all 12 doors are completely closed, and the door will be open, and the keys will be there only for the legitimate user. If somebody from outsider, if he's trying to open the door, it will not work. That is how the entire defense layer is designed. But we make sure that every time these all these systems are secure or not. So we heard, these attacks are happening, but what are the reasons, and what are the cost involved for doing these cyber attacks? I'll just give you a small picture. Let us say, if somebody, if a big country like maybe India or China or US, they wanted some stealth bomber. They wanted stealth bomber is something that cannot be captured by any radars. Stealth bomber come from anywhere, and that could drop bomb and then vanish. All right. Usually, one stealth bomber would cost some $2 billion, and some stealth fighters will also, like somewhere close to some $120 million. Even the missiles, that cost some money. But unfortunately, if we really look at it, for a cyber weapon, to do these, cyber attacks, there is no cost involved. I mean, hardly, it may cost anywhere from zero to some $50,000 or $10,000. There are people, the moment, if you want some attack, if you want to hack somebody, there are people readily available to do that job. So what countries, a lot of countries and organizations started doing is, instead of investing so much on the bombers and fighters, jet fighters and all that, it is very easy to do some small cyber attacks, right? So that is how it all started. And another worst part is, cyberspace. If somebody want to do an attack on a different country, they have to maybe cross the border, or they have to come somewhere, and they have to get all their men into the particular country or land, and they have to get their bombs, guns, everything, right? But to do these cyber attacks, it's very easy, because nowadays it's all connected to mobile, right? It's all connected to internet. So it's very easy, and sometimes it takes a lot of time. Somebody who is trying to do this attack, they have a lot of patience. Sometimes they take years to achieve something. They continuously try these attacks for years and years. Somewhere in one fine day, if somebody is not acting on time within the organization, uh, they lose their data, because hacker gains access to that complete network, right? So that is the one of the reason why banking, transaction systems, insurance companies, they make sure that these kind of attacks are not happening. If something goes wrong, their entire business will go for a toss, right? So let us say, if somebody, some hacker, he gained access to one new network today, it will be almost useless for them. They won't be able to do anything with that. They need a lot of patience, and they have to wait for some time, and they have to study their entire network, external network, and then only they will be able to understand, and then start getting something or the other information. All right. So for attackers, it is very difficult. But we, as a cybersecurity professional on the defense side, we have to defend them. How do we defend? we make sure that all the critical holes, or all the critical gaps or open doors, everything is closed and everything is shut, so that we feel safe and secure, right? That is the only way. But so far, we discussed, we are discussing on cyber security. Why security is something very critical to businesses. So far, I mean, we have had companies actually trying for getting money, and then expanding their business, stuff like that. But nowadays, if we really look at it, cyber security has become a major issue. Be it any CEO of a company, he is really worried if any attack happens, the reputation of the company goes down, and their share market value will come down. And any financial auditors or chief financial officers, they are worried about any criminal charges, financial loss. If any attack happens, another worst part is, there are companies, legal audit companies, even governments, they would come and then penalize them, saying that they have to pay some penalty fees for not making sure that this data is not safe. Why this safety is not ensured in the first place? Let us say there is a factory. I mean, if something goes wrong, and if that factory, I mean, gets exploded, I mean, some labor would have died and some things will happen, right? In the same manner, if any financial organization or any IT organization, if they are not maintaining the security standards, if something goes wrong, it is not a mistake of the attacker. Whoever is actually maintaining that entire infrastructure is completely held responsible. They have to pay a lot of money for not doing their duty properly. And within security, we have some high profile roles, like C level executive roles, which is CIO and CISO, right? CISO and CIO, we call it as. I mean, they lose their job the moment some hack gets happened. They are completely held responsible for it. So that is one of the reason they are really worried of losing any data, or they don't want to lose access to their critical systems. All right. And even HRs, they are worried that they have to terminate their employees. All right. All these things will come into picture. It is so funny that if somebody is from outsider who is trying to attack some data, and then they are trying to steal some data. but but if we really look at it, cyber security has entered into a boardroom discussion now, right? So why and where do we see this demand for IT security professionals? So far, it's a big discussion on cyber security. Suddenly, there is a spike in the requirement for security professionals. So far, most of you would have been are from computer science background. If somebody is actually completing their graduation, or their engineering graduation, they would either land up into a development role, or they either want to become a programmer, or somebody they would get into some support roles, like some network professional or some IT support professional, like that. But nobody is really looking forward to get into some IT security professional job. There is a lot of demand, guys. So that's why I'm actually trying to tell you this. So where do we see the demand for cyber security professional? We need it in banking. A lot of banks now, they have a need for cyber security professionals, because I mean, banks are the primary targets for any of these cyber crime attacks. And there are big energy provider companies, big industries. They also need somebody who can actually analyze all the events, all the attacks that are coming onto their organization, and somebody to filter the data, and then make sure that their entire industry and organization is completely safe and secure. Even city governments, any government organizations, they need some cyber security professionals, just to make sure that critical I mean citizens' data is not getting hacked, like Aadhaar data or PAN card data or anything like that. And there are a lot of retail stores, even they need cyber security professional just to make sure that while doing all this online shopping and all that, nothing gets hacked. Even HR professionals, they need cyber security professionals, all right, to meet different compliance requirements in multiple countries. So let us say if somebody is trying to join a company, we have to assess their background. We need to do a background check. Where are they coming from, and what kind of jobs that they have done, whether they have done some kind of attacks in the past. I mean, these things will also happen. Even we discussed like this, there is everywhere, wherever there is IT, wherever there is software field, and wherever we have infrastructure, wherever we have data centers requirement, everywhere we have the cyber security professional requirement. So why this security evolved as a career, and why there is a need for cyber security professional now? Let us see. The demand is very high. As I said, it's one of the high risk skill gap in the entire industry right now. So we have a lot of .NET developers out there. We have a lot of Java developers out there, and we have a lot of Android developers out there. But we don't have any security professionals. So that is why I seriously suggest, if some of you really are passionate about getting into cyber security uh, as a career, and if somebody is really passionate, just think about it. If this is really the right choice for you, I'll quickly take you through what are the things that are needed if somebody want to be a cyber security professional, and what are the things that you need to learn, right? As we have seen, right, there is the supply is very low, the demand is very high. All right. So I will not take much of the time, and I'll quickly take any questions that you guys have. So how do we ensure this security and privacy? There are different standards. In healthcare, it is very much required that we call it as HIPAA standard, and PCI DSS is something connected to banks and payment gateways, and ISO is something international standard guidelines, and that has a lot of controls. How do we set up? We set up all these processes and standards. We actually do this audit again as a company to make sure that our systems are completely safe. Quickly take a look at what are the security professional positions in organization. If let us say if somebody is getting started from their graduation, they could land as a security analyst, and they could get into security specialist role. We have admin roles. We have ethical hacker. Ethical hacker is something is not a bad hacker, by the way. Ethical hacker is somebody who is doing it for a good cause. Let us say Facebook, Microsoft, all these companies, the moment before they design any application, they would hire some ethical hackers, and they ask them, do multiple attacks on my application and then confirm if there are any attacks possible on this website or not. Once a group of ethical hackers, maybe 200 or 300 hackers, they will be given a job to attack their website or company. The moment if there are any loopholes are completely given by any report given by these ethical hackers, that will be considered, and that issue will be closed. And we have pen testers. They do a lot of penetrating testings from outside. They just maybe sit at home, and they make sure they do a lot of attacks, and then they exploit if there is any information that can be accessed, and they give a report for the particular organization to fix all the gaps. So like that, if we grow to the top level, we have DevOps security engineers. I mean, what are the issues that come while during the development stages? Somebody is preparing a nice application, and then they are doing a lot of coding, and they develop a nice application. But the moment the security issues on the application are not addressed, it is completely useless. See, you guys must be upgrading your Android operating system, or maybe iOS operating systems, right? So once in every 6 months or a year, these smartphone companies, they would release a latest OS. The moment you upgrade that OS, it is not only the features that you are getting, you would get latest security features, and all the security issues are getting closed. And if somebody want to, we heard, right, top IT companies, they will have CEOs and all that. Even for within security also, we have something called Chief Information Security Officer, CISO. It's a very prominent role. And Chief Information Officer, CIO, that is almost equivalent to a CEO position. So these are the common security professions. And if somebody is doing a web application or mobile application, they have to go through some open web application security standards, which are listed here. If somebody is preparing application, they need to make sure that all these issues are taken care. Otherwise, gaps will be there. So let us say, so far we had there are gaps and we need to mitigate it. Let us say in any application there are some critical vulnerabilities. Vulnerabilities are nothing but some major ports gaps. Let us say if somebody have compiled the application and some of the critical things are not covered, so the hackers would actually use that information, and then they exploit the data through multiple ways. What companies would do is they actually make sure their applications are secure. We periodically test every month, and every 2 months, every 3 months, we make sure that all the applications, servers, systems in the entire infrastructure are completely safe and secure. That is how we design it. So I'm actually done with the slides. If you guys have any questions, I can quickly answer some of them.
So if students have any question, they can type in the chat box so that we can look into it and try to answer.
Yeah, sure. Anybody have any questions? Yeah, somebody mentioned that what should we learn to enter this field. Cybersecurity, if somebody want to get into this profession, somebody should have good understanding on operating systems. They should have good experience on networking, and people should have good understanding on Linux, and they have to do some certifications also if required. But if somebody who is actually passing out from a college, there are a lot of companies, even they actually offer this courses online, and you could actually enroll there and then get into this cybersecurity field. And a lot of colleges are directly hiring uh, um, fresh graduates, and they're actually training them on all these cybersecurity standards. All right. Let me take up the next question as well. Have you ever had any serious attacks during your job? Yeah, I think this is a question from Nishal. Yes, Nishal, I think around 1 week back, I am actually I got a call from one of the insurance company, which is a India and global level insurance company. They have experienced some attack on one of their server. And when I really completely looked into that issue, I came to know that they have issue with their Java application, which is very outdated one, which they are using it in their organization. So immediately I came to know about it, and I told them that they need to upgrade their Java application on it. And this is just one example, and we recently had so many ransomware attacks that are happening, that happened in many organizations recently. Cognizant also uh, had to publicly accept it. They had a lot of their mail data, critical organization data, that got hacked by hackers through this ransomware kind of attacks. uh, to answer more briefly, Nishal, see, these ransomware attack is very prominent attack. The moment this ransomware attack is there, it completely encrypts the entire data on your laptop or desktop. It will completely log the entire data, and it will completely will not give any access to your own system. You cannot actually format it, or you cannot actually open any application. Ransomware is something they ask for some money. Unless we pay some money to it, they don't actually release that system. And worst part is, we cannot guarantee that they would actually release access to our own system even if we pay money for it. I think in the last year, there were certain attacks on attacks related to ransomware, where people were asked to pay some $200, $2,000. Most of the healthcare companies, they thought, okay, the moment we have, once when we pay this money of maybe some $2,000 or $1,000, the hackers would release their system. Even if they make the payment, they did not release the system. So it is quite bothering. I mean, we will not have any choice to it. All right. So which are the next question is, which is the programming language that is useful for learning info security? Is coding necessary? It's a very good question. I mean, coding is not necessary, but it is good, and it is important to understand some of the programming languages. And if somebody has good understanding on Python, that can really help. And within this cyber security also, we have something called application security, wherein we have to review all the manual code of the entire application, and we have to give a report on what are the changes that are required at development stage. So what will happen is, basically these developers or programmers, they would actually prepare application and give it to us for review before they host it in a Play Store, or maybe in before they release it in the market. Being a security professional, we have to review that, and then we have to give a recommendation stating that these are the changes needed. So that is why it is good if somebody has good understanding on required programming languages. But I think 30-40% we need uh, coding experience, right? And one more question from Rakesh: what are the courses or subjects related to strengthening which makes this field to get easier? See, the courses are, if somebody want to get into cyber security, they can do some courses like CEH, that is like certified ethical hacker course. It can really help us. Yeah, so apart from that, subjects related to strengthening this field, if somebody has good understanding on cryptography, they can study that as a subject. And if somebody has good understanding on data analysis, or data security, that can also help. So these are some of the things which are necessary. So if I really look at it, I have so far I worked with Symantec company for about 4-5 years, and after that I worked in IBM for about more than 7 years. Right from the beginning, I am into cybersecurity field, and I did a couple of certifications in the initial stages, like one from Cisco, CCNA, CCNP. You can actually learn. I did Red Hat certifications. I did checkpoint certifications. I also did some certifications from IBM as well, and I did some certifications from Symantec also. So that is how down the line, once you are in this field, you have to keep learning a lot of stuff, because every day it will be very interesting. The moment when you start working into cyber security field, because every day or the other you will get so many issues that are prevalent in the market, and the moment once when you start troubleshooting on that issue, you would learn something. So that is how you will grow. And there is one more question from Anand. How is the job market because of coronavirus? I mean, coronavirus is something, a temporary thing. Even if there is a job market which is a bit slow in the stage of this coronavirus stage, but the demand for cybersecurity has doubled, at least in this phase. Why? Because we are getting a lot of attacks coming from other countries, and a lot of companies, employees are not there in their office, and nobody is taking care of their security systems. So hackers have realized that this is the best time to make sure that the critical data can be hacked. So that is why the demand for cybersecurity professionals has improved a lot in this coronavirus time. All right. So where to get the courses? I mean, you can actually Google it, and there are a lot of courses and a lot of companies. If somebody is really interested, just ping me. I'll actually give you my LinkedIn profile and my mobile number. If somebody is interested in learning some courses, I could actually give you some of the links. If somebody is really interested in getting into this cyber security field, whenever there are any openings from IBM or from any other organizations, I can keep you informed. Just ping me in case if somebody is really interested. That is my LinkedIn profile as well. I mentioned my mobile number there. I basically, live in Bangalore. And let me take up two more questions. How to protect the data from hackers? I mean, is antivirus software is secured? Antivirus software is secured, but antivirus software is not completely, enough to, protect the data. Antivirus is something, it can actually, protect your system. If there is a virus that has come into your system, or if that is coming into your system through maybe some pen drives or maybe a flash drive, or something is getting downloaded from internet, that can only help you from there. But in many enterprise systems, critical organizations, they do actually take care of different layers of security. Antivirus is just one of them, hardly 5 or 10% of it. You have to take care of network, you have to take care of data, you have to take care of operating system, you have to take care of database, server, everything. So antivirus is not enough. I mean, we need much more than that. Right? Hackers can gain access to systems in any manner, but we need to make sure that all the possible ways are locked, right? So one more question. Does not opt for this type of thing. It's difficult to understand this. It is not a difficult subject. It is in fact very easy. Cyber security is easy. But only challenge is one should have a passion for it. Most of the IT folks are completely designed, and they get inspired from somebody. Let us say one of your brother, or somebody who is a neighbor who must be software engineer, and we compare ourselves with them, and then we also tend to get into either to become a software engineer or a developer or a programmer. That is where the issue is. So even the salaries are really good. Sometimes people get paid more than developers and software engineers in security field, because if somebody is a security professional, they have much more knowledge than programmers, because we get to work on programming, and we get to work on network, and we get to work on operating system, we get to work on database everywhere. So security is something not restricted or limited to a particular subject. It has multiple things connected to it. And the moment once somebody is getting started, they can go there. And somebody has posted one more question: what is the salary situation in companies? Let us say if somebody want to get started right from their graduation, some small companies, they started paying, I'm actually telling you, in the annual package side, any small companies at annual level, I mean, they would start somewhere from 2.8 lakhs to 3.2 lakhs to 4 to 6 lakhs in the beginning. Maybe annually somewhere, a person can easily get a salary anywhere per month from 18,000 to 32,000, 35, 45,000 per month. It depends, based on the company reputation. Big company, based on the clients that they work with. If somebody is working with US clients, they get paid more. That is how the salary situation will be. And I can assure you that within security, people can quickly grow. One of the advantages, you get to work with a lot of C level people. That means CEOs, CIOs, CISOs, all these. If somebody is at a a programmer or some developer, they don't get to interact with top leadership team, maybe top senior level executive managers within the company. But if somebody is a security professional, they get immediate access, because even the CEOs will listen to you. Why? Because your job is more critical, because you are going to do an awesome job by securing the entire infrastructure of the company. And you will make sure that the crown jewels of that particular company is, you're protecting it. Right, you're making sure that the company is not losing their reputation in the market. Right, somebody mentioned, please send me any courses links like that. I'll just try, and then somebody ping me on my number or on my LinkedIn, and I would actually send you some of the open courses, even from IBM we have. And there are some other third party companies also, like Coursera and all that. They're also giving some of the cyber security courses for free. They are just like some online courses. You can just log in and then study on your own, and you can decide. I think whatever session that I have covered, it will actually give you a little bit of idea on how the cyber security, and what are the typical roles that you have to do. If somebody is a cyber security professional, their day would look like you would log into system, and then you would check your mails. You would check in case of any attacks or any critical tasks that you need to finish on that day. And you continuously monitor the network infrastructure to make sure that there are no attacks happening. And if there are any critical events that you need to address. So that is how the typical work would be. And you will be also responsible for making sure a lot of the systems and applications are upgraded, and you will be personally doing a lot of upgrades. You will be assisting some of the team members, coordinate, and then push for these upgrades. Let us say some database person, he must be running on some Oracle 9 or 10. You have to jump in and tell them that you need to upgrade this particular application. Otherwise this application is not secure, and this application data can be hacked. So you have to jump in and then tell them, saying that, oh, this is where you have to take care. Right. Any further questions? I think we have spent more than an hour on this. I'm sure for some of you who is who, it is just a introductory session. But the moment you start learning so much on this, you will get to know a lot more details on the security part.
Yeah.
All right. So somebody want to ask me a question. Who is Nikhila? You can speak, Nikhila, if you have any question. Somebody raised a hand. Any further questions?
Thank you for your patience, Mr. Bhanu, for answering so many questions. And thank you for sharing your knowledge on different layers of information system, the threats we commonly face, and also providing in-depth career guidance in this field. I'm sure this was a very informative session and a very interesting session. We appreciate all the efforts you've taken, to put this video together, to put this teaching together. And and I'm sure all the students have received so much of learning through the session. We are looking forward definitely to hearing more such sessions from you. And thank you so much once again on behalf of the ICER team and also the students gathered here. Thank you so much, Mr. Bhanu.
All of you, I wish you good luck. I mean, if anybody need any help, you can get in touch um, with the team and then grow ahead.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks for your patience, all of you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much.